Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Time Traveler's Handbook. Today we're going to be talking about episode 5 and 6 in season 2, Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. Spoilers ahead for those two episodes. We're primarily just talking about the first one of these episodes, though, because it introduces the themes of the universe that it's setting up. And the second episode is more about the battle with the Cybermen. The TARDIS lands the Doctor, Rose, and Mickey in a parallel universe's version of London. While waiting for the TARDIS to recharge itself, they discover that the inhabitants of this parallel universe are being upgraded into Cybermen. So clearly the thing that we want to talk about in this episode is about parallel universes. This is one of the more clearly defined moments in the revived era of a parallel universe. And we have talked a little bit before about parallel universes with our Father's Day episode, but this is clearly a split timeline that they have happened into, that they shouldn't have been able to happen into. Clearly what seems to have happened is that a rift has been ripped between the original universe and this parallel universe. It's unclear on whether the TARDIS was the cause of this rift, or if this was the product of some other events that happened later in the season with Torchwood. We'll talk about that more in the next episode. It's a good time to try to define what this parallel universe is and what parallel universes are in the Doctor Who universe. In this parallel universe, many things are different, but still adjacent to the Prime universe, which means that we have a case of some event or a series of events branching the course of history into a different direction than what happened in the Prime universe. For instance, this universe still uses Zeppelins. Rose's father is still alive, but Rose was never born. Additionally, Mickey meets his counterpart Ricky, but their Nan is the same person in both universes. So a lot is different, but just slightly different. There are still consistencies between the universes that you can draw. As we talked about in our Father's Day episode, the TARDIS does not react well to being in alternate universes. In Father's Day, a paradox caused the universe that they were in to rip away from the Prime universe, which left the inside of the TARDIS stranded in the Prime universe entirely. In this episode, the TARDIS traveled directly to a parallel universe, and it almost completely burned out the TARDIS to do it, as traveling between parallel universes, as we learn, takes an immense amount of energy. So we can see that this isn't an easy thing to do, and definitely not something that can be done safely. Now, how can these parallel universes come to be? Naturally, you can think about the multiple universe theory, where there's just an infinite amount of parallel universes that are just slightly different from our own, or completely different from our own, all shaped by the choices that people make in the past. This could very well be the standing theory in Doctor Who, but I can also see a case for universes branching out of time travelers going back in time and making decisions. That's a way to keep it kind of self-consistent all the time in reference to the time travelers, as long as you don't double up on yourselves like we saw in Father's Day. So maybe this alternate timeline was a result of something that a time traveler did in the past to make this branching path happen. Now, we haven't seen anything specifically that would have caused this, but it wouldn't be the first time that the Doctor goes to the past, changes something, and it affects the future. For instance, the creation of Torchwood. So maybe this was a result of something happening in the past. Maybe this was just a multiple universe theory sort of situation. It's hard to tell, but in any case, it's really hard to go in between parallel universes, and when you do go in between them, things are just kind of adjacent to the universe that you came from. They're not entirely different. Now, in regards to the relationship between these two parallel universes, we're going to talk about that more in the next episode, where we introduce the Void and we talk about the end of season 2. As always, thank you for listening.